Today in the episode, power outage hit several areas of Moscow after Ukrainian strikes. UK responds to Russian threats over drones for Ukraine. Kremlin disregards safety as problems in Russia's aviation industry mount. Ukrainian drones attacked 4 Russian regions. UAVs struck industrial facilities in Ufa overnight on August 19th, Bashkortostan governor said. The Ufa attack also set fire to a unit undergoing repairs at an oil refinery. Drones also attacked the Sverdlov explosives plant in Dzержинsk, where witness video showed heavy smoke rising from the site. Ukrainian drones have struck the plant multiple times before. Authorities in Vladimir and Tula regions reported drone attacks as well. Last night, Russia was marked by a new drone attack and transport disruptions. Russian authorities reported drones flying toward Moscow, and restrictions were imposed at Vnukovo, Sheremetyevo, Domodedovo, and Zhukovsky airports. In Yaroslavl, travel to Moscow was temporarily blocked due to the threat of air attack. The previous day, several districts of Moscow experienced a blackout, and power outages led to a widespread internet outage in Russia. Disruptions were also reported on the metro and ground transportation. The General Staff reported that following Ukrainian strikes on targets in Samara, a production workshop at the Progress Rocket and Space Center and an aircraft maintenance workshop at the Aviacorps plant were damaged. Progress is one of the key enterprises of the Russian rocket and space industry and takes part in the production of rocket carriers of the Soyuz family. The products of the company are used for the launching of spacecraft into orbit and the launching of Russia's satellites of grouping in the interest of the Russian army. Ukrainian strikes deep into Russian territory have already become one of the main concerns for the country's population. The attacks also damage the Russian economy and disrupt military logistics in the occupied territories, according to the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine. Their units are destroying Russian radar stations, air defense systems, and troop and weapons control elements. This allows Ukraine to launch increasingly precise strikes against enemy military targets. The losses of the Russian army at the front already exceed the monthly recruitment of contract soldiers. In July, the Russian occupiers lost at least 40,000 people, of which about 60% were killed or missing. This was also reported by the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. At the same time, 36,000 signed a contract in June, and about 39,000 Russians signed a contract in July. That is, despite significant combat losses, the total number of military personnel of the occupation army at the front remains particularly stable. This is 670,000 combat components and 65,000 personnel in the operational reverse. The United Kingdom pledged its 100% support for Ukraine. London emphasized that it would not cease supplying Kyiv with the weapons necessary to defend against Russian aggression, despite Moscow's warning about possible consequences. As a reminder, the Russian embassy in London accused the United Kingdom of, as they say, deliberately seeking to escalate after media reports alleged that British-made drones were used in strikes against targets in Russia. British Prime Minister Andy Burnham emphasized that London plans to continue providing Ukraine with the necessary equipment.
This is the UK doing what it has long said it would do, which is to support Ukraine 100% against this illegal war led by Vladimir Putin. We are providing support so that Ukraine can defend itself, and that's been the British position all the way through this conflict by previous Prime Ministers. It remains the case with me. We are not fair weather friends. We will be there in Ukraine's hour of need, and that won't change.
A series of Ukrainian drone strikes on Russian refineries has triggered a major crisis in the Russian aviation fuel market. Amid the shortage, problems are mounting in both military and civil aviation. To keep the industry afloat, Moscow is prepared to lower quality requirements and pursue dubious import substitution solutions. More in our next story for you.
Due to a shortage of aviation fuel, Russian authorities are prepared to lower fuel quality requirements. Russia's transport ministry is proposing to allow the use of jet fuel with a freezing point of minus 50 degrees Celsius instead of the current minus 60. Fuel with these specifications cannot be safely used in cold climate regions such as Yakutia, Chukotka, Bashkortostan, Tatarstan, and the Chuvash Republic. It is also unsuitable for military equipment, but that is not all. Russia's transport ministry is also proposing the use of heavy crude oil in fuel production and replacing imported anti-wear additives with domestically produced alternatives.
At cruising altitude, temperatures outside the aircraft are often below minus 50 degrees Celsius. If the fuel begins to crystallize, the particles can block the fuel system and cut off the supply to the engine. For a car, that means pulling over to the side of the road. For an aircraft, it means engine failure in midair. Russian officials are effectively proposing to cut costs by lowering the specifications of a product directly linked to flight safety. The new additives and components still need to be tested. They could also accelerate the wear of aircraft components. From a publication on the website of the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine.
Russia has also failed to develop a domestic replacement for the American displays used in military equipment, including the cockpits of combat aircraft and helicopters, as well as control systems aboard submarines. St. Petersburg-based company Aviation and Marine Electronics was supposed to develop the modules by November 2019, but the work remains unfinished. The delay has now exceeded 6.5 years. Russia's aviation authorities are currently trying to determine who will be responsible for paying the penalty.
The development of domestic alternatives was supposed to reduce dependence on imported electronics, but the Russian government has acknowledged that it will not be able to implement some of its ambitious electronics import substitution projects and has lowered its target for the use of Russian-made products in government projects. By 2030, domestic electronics are now expected to account for 58.7%, instead of the previously planned 80%, from the Moscow Times publication.
As for Russia's military aviation and air defense, the problems are growing at an alarming rate. On the night of August 15th, Ukrainian drones attacked the Progress Rocket and Space Center in Samara and the Savoslayka military airfield in the Nizhny Novgorod region. On August 2nd, the Engels airfield in the Saratov region was also engulfed in flames. According to Ukraine's general staff, Ukrainian forces destroyed 68 Russian air defense systems in July alone, and Kyiv says even more such strikes are expected in the coming months.
By the end of this year, Ukraine is expected to have medium-range capabilities with a range of up to 800 kilometers. In fact, we are talking about ballistic missiles that would allow attacks on relevant Russian targets to be carried out dozens of times faster. As a result, the Russians would not have enough time to prepare. And if we are talking about lightning-fast strikes, this could help bring Russian air bases under control. They would have no time either to redeploy their aircraft or to hide their air defense systems.
The crisis in Russia's civil aviation sector has spread across the entire industry. In the first half of 2026, passenger traffic in Russia fell by approximately 1.5 million people. In an attempt to stabilize the situation, several airlines are being merged into a single holding company. For example, only one Boeing aircraft operated by carrier Red Wings is currently reportedly airworthy. At the same time, ticket prices continue to rise month after month, while safety requirements are being steadily lowered. The creation of a new holding company will not solve the industry's problems. Ukraine's Foreign Intelligence Service says reorganization will not bring Western components back to Russia, speed up production of new aircraft, or stop the loss of qualified personnel. Reported by Irina Yusupova, UATV News.
That's it for today. I'm Yulia Horova. Thank you for watching this segment. We appreciate your time and effort a lot. Please also share, comment, subscribe to UATV. We got you covered on whatever tomorrow holds for all of us, always in Ukrainian perspective. Stay safe and see you on tomorrow.